Let's talk about interest rates for a minute, because they're the invisible hand that makes this whole system work or fall apart. When interest rates are low, government debt is cheap. The Treasury can borrow $1 trillion at 2% interest, which costs $20 billion a year to service. That's manageable. It's a line item in the budget, not a crisis. But when interest rates rise, everything changes. If rates double to 4%, that same $1 trillion now costs $40 billion a year to service. And because the US has $36 trillion in debt, even small changes in interest rates have massive consequences. This is why the Federal Reserve is so obsessed with interest rates. It's why every Fed meeting is analyzed like the Zapruder film. The Fed controls short-term interest rates through the federal funds rate, which is the rate banks charge each other for overnight loans. By raising or lowering that rate, the Fed influences borrowing costs across the entire economy, including the rate at which the Treasury borrows. For most of the 2010s, interest rates were near zero. The Fed kept them there to stimulate the economy after the 2008 crisis. Cheap money encouraged borrowing, spending, investment. It also made government debt incredibly cheap to service. The US was able to double its debt without doubling its interest payments because rates were so low. But cheap money has consequences. It inflates asset prices, stocks, real estate, bonds. Everything goes up because there's too much money chasing too few investments. It encourages reckless borrowing because debt is cheap. Companies take on leverage they can't afford. Investors pile into risky assets because safe assets yield nothing. The system becomes addicted to low rates. And then inflation came back. By 2022, inflation was out of control. The Fed had no choice but to raise rates aggressively. It went from near zero to over 5% in less than 2 years. The fastest hiking cycle in decades. Higher rates cooled inflation, but they also made everything more expensive to borrow. Mortgages, car loans, business loans, credit cards, and government debt. The Congressional Budget Office projects that interest payments on the national debt will exceed $1.7 trillion annually by 2034. That's more than the US currently spends on Social Security. It's more than defense, more than Medicare, more than everything except possibly Social Security by then. And it's money that doesn't build anything. It doesn't fund research or infrastructure or education. It just services the cost of past borrowing. This is the trap. Low rates make debt cheap, but encourage too much borrowing. High rates make debt expensive, but are necessary to control inflation. There's no equilibrium. There's only a constant balancing act, and every few years the balance tips too far in one direction and something breaks. In 2008, it was the housing market. In 2020, it was the pandemic. In 2023, it was regional banks collapsing because they held long-term bonds that lost value when rates rose. Each crisis requires the Fed to intervene, to create more money, to buy more bonds, to prop up the system. And each intervention makes the next crisis more likely because the debt keeps growing and the system becomes more fragile. Now, let's talk about what happens if this all goes wrong, because every system has a breaking point. The optimistic view is that as long as economic growth outpaces debt growth, everything is fine. If the economy grows at 3% a year and the debt grows at 2% a year, the debt-to-GDP ratio improves over time. The burden becomes lighter relative to the size of the economy. This is how the US reduced its debt-to-GDP ratio after World War II, when debt hit 120% of GDP. The economy grew, the debt didn't grow as fast, and over time the ratio came down. But that required decades of strong growth, relatively low spending, and no major crises. None of those conditions are guaranteed now. Growth is slowing. The US economy is mature. There's only so much productivity you can squeeze out of an aging population and saturating markets. Technological advancement helps, but it's not growing at the exponential rates people hoped for. Artificial intelligence might change that, but it might also displace workers and create social instability that requires even more government spending to manage. Spending is accelerating. Entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare are growing faster than the economy. Defense spending is rising. Infrastructure needs investment. Climate change is going to require trillions in adaptation and mitigation. Every decreases every disaster. Every political demand adds to the bill. And debt is compounding. 36 trillion is already an incomprehensible number, but it's growing by roughly 2 trillion a year. At current trajectories, the US will hit 50 trillion in debt by the early 20s. The interest payments alone will consume an ever larger share of the budget, which means less money for everything else, which means either higher taxes, which slows growth, or more borrowing, which makes the debt worse. This is called a debt spiral, and it's how governments lose control. At some point, lenders start to worry that the debt is unsustainable. They demand higher interest rates to compensate for the risk. Higher rates make the debt even more unsustainable. More lenders pull out. Rates rise further. The government has to either cut spending drastically, raise taxes drastically, or default. The US has one advantage that most countries don't. The dollar is the global reserve currency. Oil is priced in dollars. International trade is conducted in dollars. Central banks around the world hold dollars as reserves. This creates constant demand for dollars and for dollar-denominated assets like treasury bonds, which keeps borrowing costs low even when debt levels are high. But that advantage isn't permanent. China has been trying to internationalize the yuan for years. The European Union wants the euro to play a bigger role. Digital currencies, whether central bank issued or decentralized, could upend the system entirely. If the dollar loses its reserve status, US borrowing costs will spike, and the debt spiral will accelerate.